Why are contemporary romance books so garbage? Listen. I am a romance lover 10 toes down. 10 toes, 10 fingers down. But for whatever reason, I find that published romance books are so much worse. So much worse on average than fantasy, thriller, mystery, whatever.
Let's preface this with something light, yeah? Sometimes even the most cliche of cliche tropes, they aren't always that bad. Overused, sure, but a good writer can turn copper into gold. Now, there's a crap ton of debates about fictional tropes. That's expected. We all have different tastes, thus we enjoy different stuff when it comes to the media we consume. Some folks like lighthearted stories, and then there are some who start foaming at the mouth at the mention of angst. Whichever one you are, or if you are a stable person who enjoys balance, there's bound to be something you enjoy, as well as tropes that you may absolutely detest. Now, I personally have my own takes when it comes to these. I've spent most of my life poring over fiction as escapism. Because of that, you can expect I've developed my own personal palette when it comes to tropes. So, let's tackle them. Okay, off the bat, we've got love triangles. Not that bad, but I wouldn't go out of my way to say that I enjoy them either. There are some genuinely well-written, heart-wrenching love triangles out there, I'm sure. But a lot of the time, I'd come to find that some of these creators just see it as the easiest way to inject some angst on the side. And that is assuming that they don't make the love triangle itself the main conflict in the story. So, here's my gripe on love triangles. First up, they're hardly ever a triangle. If you've consumed enough young adult media from the 90s up to the 2010s, you know how it goes. There's a girl, and she's forced to choose between two guys who low-key look and feel like variants of each other. Sometimes it could also be two girls fighting for one guy. And what do I mean by they're not a triangle? Well, to put it simply, all we have here is an angle. Character A is liked by characters B and C, or character A likes them both. That's two lines. Where's the third? Where's the third? Because in an actual love triangle, characters B and C would have something between them too. When I first found out what a love triangle is, I always just assumed it goes like character A likes character B, but character B likes character C, then character C likes character A. That would make it an actual love triangle. We don't have to go too far when talking about this trope. Just peer into the good old Bath and Body Works scented times of the 2010s when, Twilight took the world by storm. If your love triangle doesn't get people to print the two opposing love rivals on their prom dresses, then you better start coming up with something more original. Next one, I have a bigger dislike for. Unexpected pregnancy. First and foremost, it's not always as terrible as a side plot. Let's face it, shit happens and we all make stupid choices in the heat of the moment sometimes. But as the main driving force of the plot, I'm honestly not a fan. Maybe I'm not the best person to give an unbiased opinion of this trope, but thinking of pregnancy gives me the heebie-jeebies. I know epidurals and anesthetics exist, but come on. That's a whole-ass baby popping out of you. If you're not giving birth naturally, then you know damn well you'll have to get a C-section where, they cut you open. I know it's natural and necessary, but damn, if it doesn't make me scared at the mere thought of it. Fine. This might just be the coward in me speaking, but I personally find it way too jarring if this is all the film is about. Again, not the worst trope in the world, but it's really just not my cup of tea. I would say, though, that the movies Knocked Up and Juno center on this trope, but are still pretty intriguing. Yet again, the whole predicament of Juno, a teenage girl getting pregnant, it definitely reminds me why this trope gives me more creeps than feels. But here's where it gets rough. If love triangles and unexpected pregnancies, they make me go, meh, then it's safe to say that I have a far more violent reaction about bullies being in love with their victims.
We wonder why this generation is so mean and cruel, and then we say stuff like bring back bullying. Actually, no, I don't think we should bring back bullying.
Let's call it a spade.
I don't think it was ever a trend that we did. Unless it was and I got left out. I see so many comments like, bullying brings character development. Okay, we need it. Bullying brings people to off themselves, you dingus. As somebody who has experienced being bullied,
This trope, it's us. That's just toxicity, getting wrapped in the guise of cute, angsty young love. You don't torment someone you like, and you best believe that in real life, that person will absolutely not like you back if you've been talking shit about them openly. Dripping the supposed love of your life in front of the whole class isn't a very romantic meet cute, much less making fun of them at every breeding moment. Get over yourself. I don't want to get all preachy here, but we gotta remind ourselves that bullying is a serious matter and it should be treated as such. Like, I get being a prankster, I get being a rage baiter to get the attention of your crush, and to be fair, I think that's what a lot of these authors or creators are going for. But actual bullying, in the sense that the love interest, well, if we could even call them that, is just making the MC's life harder, and the MC is just okay with that? It triggers a rather visceral reaction in me. There's no way in hell those two's relationship will be healthy when their roots stem from one of them making the other miserable. I personally steer clear from works like these. Now, I don't know about you guys, but is there anyone else around here who watches those mini Chinese web dramas? You know, those short videos divided into like a bazillion parts about this sad, poor country girl hiding her secret baby from her billionaire ex. Unironically, those are amusing to me. And surprisingly, they like to throw in this trope too sometimes, on the rare occasion, of course, that they don't make it about billionaires again. But holy, sometimes they even manage to mix this bullying trope with the billionaire trope, which is why the MC goes into hiding sometimes. When you really think about it, it's such a wild plot point to have your main character flee their main lead because they're just that much of an asshole. So, if you ask me, it's about time that we just throw the crappy love interests like these, and we just instead steer the MCs towards better ones. You know, love interests that won't laugh when they cry? Like, how about that? Next one here is miscommunication. Good grief. Now, if you've watched our previous videos, you already know how I feel about miscommunication, both in and out of fiction. Bottom line here is that I absolutely hate it. While I agree that it's certainly bound to happen sometimes, stories that abuse the miscommunication trope, it makes me want to strangle myself more so than they make me want to seek a relationship. Because to put it frankly, this is basically the easiest way to rage bait your audience. It's annoying, it's tacky, it pisses everyone off. And you can really tell when the author's just trying to increase the runtime of their work. Like, there are bigger fish to fry, but here goes our heroine crashing out because she saw her man holding hands with another girl. But oh, never mind. That was just his sister who returned home from abroad. Seriously, who wouldn't be tired of plot points, and I'm saying this with air quotes, like these? Literally a 2-minute conversation could have fixed this. But of course, they won't do that. What's a story without some emotional constipation, am I right? But jokes aside, I see this happen way too many times in manhwas. I just scroll and internally crash out myself because I, along with the other readers sitting in the comment section, we just couldn't help but notice that this never would have been a problem if characters just used their damn words. It is utterly insufferable as a trope, and I will die on that hill. Going over to the anime side, there are 2 tropes that got me scratching the back of my head instead of cheering.
Tropes we love to hate.
Isekai.
That's not a trope, Joey.
It is now.
High School.
Do we hate it?
Yes, I do. The moment I see an anime now and it's like, he's a normal high school. Cyberpunk 2077, I nearly clocked out when he was in school. I was like, I swear to God, if they made Cyberpunk and they put it in a fucking school, I'm going to lose it. And then, of course, he leaves school that episode.
Yeah, luckily.
I'm like,
yeah.
Thank God. But, like, I'm just so over anything with high school. I think I've said this before on the anime. Like, I'm just bored.
Yeah.
As said previously, isekai is a genre and not a trope. But I'll mention it here anyways. Now, don't get me wrong, not everything in this genre is bad. Hell, the premise of Isekai as is, it sounds cool. Like, who wouldn't want to be just call it quits, get reincarnated into a 2D dude with black hair and hands that spew fire? Like, I know I do. There are genuinely some bangers under Isekai. And I know I'd be lying if I say that I didn't eat up that time I got reincarnated as a slime. I'll defend that with all my heart, so I won't take any slander of this.
田村、ハードディスク消去してくれたかな。あいつ消す前に中見なかっただろうな。
However, I cannot say the same for the vast majority of works under this genre. Let's not lie to ourselves. Isekai is written with over-the-top power-scaling fantasies and harems. Truly a combination for the ages. Now, I don't want to yuck someone's yum here. Sometimes we all just want a very self-indulgent show to watch so that, we could escape the toils of life. I'm no different. Why do you think I eat up so many of these fictional pieces? But if you're going to make a super self-indulgent work wherein, you project yourself as the MC who bags all the baddies, who'll, remain faithful forever, then let's call it that. A self-indulgent show. Let's not call our daydreams masterpieces, because very rarely are they ever amazing lore-wise. Embrace the shittiness for what it is instead of claiming it's art. Besides, that fantasy is hardly unique anymore with the amount of people churning out all sorts of media on this genre, following the same pattern of insane MC powers and harems. And now, as for the high school trope, it definitely falls into the not too bad category in my eyes. Like, I wouldn't actively search for it, but I see why it appeals to a lot of people. Sure, high school can be a pain, but for some of us, it takes us back to lighter times. That being said, it's painfully overused, and worse, some people sexualize the hell out of it. Like, I don't think I'm being weird for being uncomfortable about making high schoolers bang. Now look, I know they aren't babies anymore, but these are still young teenagers. I could hardly imagine a plausible reason for anyone to take a more fresh, youthful trope and turn it into something for adults. It just doesn't sit right with me. But even without the sexualization, people need to step it up more with this trope. Any trope gets tiring without something fresh getting added into it. So my main strife with it really just has something more to do with originality. I want to see more unique takes on it, whether it's more fantastical or realistic. Though I will say I'm taking a cliche high school story over bully-turned-lover any day. Assuming they don't blend those two tropes together, of course, because boy do they love doing that. Anyways, that's the last of the nits that I've got to pick. Know a trope that makes you want to bury yourself in the ground? Let me know in the comments. I'm always up for a chat and any takes you've got. Hot as it could get.
Let's go.
It's Current Champ here. See you on the next one. Peace.